He was the richest man in 7 villages. Gold on his wrists, cattle in his fields, a brand new house with a tin roof that shone like the sun. All of it came after he married her. But on the 7th morning, he did not wake up. They found him cold. No wound, no sickness, no sign of struggle. Just a rich, dead man. And a wife standing at the doorway, calm as still water. He was not the first. He was not the second. He was not even the third. Every man who married Adiz became rich. Every single one. But not one of them ever saw the 8th day. The village was asking one question. Was she a gift, or was she a curse? But what nobody knew, what not even Adiz herself knew, was the answer hiding inside her own blood. And when the truth finally came out, it did not just shake her village. It shook the heavens. Let's go back to where it all began. But before we do, if you are new here, please subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. It keeps me going. And please tell me, where in the world are you watching from? I love hearing from my amazing family all over the globe. Now sit down, get comfortable, and enjoy the story. The village of Onawa sat at the bottom of a great hill. The kind of hill that made you feel small when you looked up at it. The red earth there was rich and deep. Yams grew fat. Rain came when it was called. The people of Onawa believed they were watched over by the Agwu, the spirit of destiny. They said the Agwu planted a seed inside every child before they were born. A seed of purpose. A seed of fate. Some children were born with small, quiet seeds. They became farmers, traders, good, simple people. But sometimes, very rarely, a child was born with a seed so big and so powerful that even the gods leaned in close to watch. Adiz was one of those children. Her mother, Chisholm, was a quiet woman. Kind eyes, soft voice. The kind of woman who never raised her hand or her voice. Her father, Ugachukwu, was a farmer who loved his wife so deeply he named his best cow after her. Chisholm the cow, Chisholm the wife. Both were beautiful and both were stubborn. When Chisholm was 7 months pregnant, something strange happened. She was at the stream, washing cloth, when the water went very, very still. No wind, no ripple. The birds stopped singing. Then an old woman appeared on the other side of the stream. She had no basket, no pot, no reason to be there. Just an old woman, standing in the water up to her knees, smiling at Chisholm's belly. What you carry, the old woman said, is not only yours. She belongs to the debt your grandfather never paid. Chisholm blinked, and the old woman was gone. The water moved again. The birds sang again. Chisholm picked up her cloth and walked home very fast. She did not tell her husband what she heard. She did not want to believe it. 2 months later, Adiz was born. She came into the world at midnight between one day and the next, right in the crack of time. She was a beautiful baby, skin like polished ebony, eyes that looked older than a baby's eyes should look, as if she had been somewhere before and still remembered the way. The midwife gasped when she saw those eyes. This child has seen things, she whispered. But Ugachukwu laughed and held his daughter close. She is mine, he said. She is ours. And she is perfect. Adiz grew up like a story people could not stop telling. She was not just beautiful, though she was very beautiful. She was the kind of beautiful that made old men forget what they were saying and made old women touch their chests. But her beauty was not even the strangest part. Wherever Adiz went, good things followed. Not slowly, not gradually, fast, like a flood. When she was 9 years old, she visited her uncle Ikin's farm. Ikin had been struggling for 3 years. Bad soil, poor harvest, debt that grew like a weed. Adiz spent one afternoon walking between his rows of yam. She touched the leaves with her small hands. She sang a little song her mother taught her. Nothing special, just a child playing. That season, Ikin harvested more yam than he had ever seen in his life. His barn was so full, the door would not close. He cried when he saw it. He thought it was the gods. He was right, but not in the way he understood. By the time Adiz was 17, the whole of Onawa knew. They called it the Adiz touch. If she entered your house, your business would grow. If she smiled at your child, the child would stop crying. If she prayed over your sick goat, the goat would stand up by morning. Men came from far villages just to look at her. They brought kola nut and palm wine to her father. They said, "We want her daughter. We want the blessing she carries." And this, right here, is where the story becomes dangerous. The first man to marry Adiz was named Tobchukwu. Everyone called him Tob. He was a good man, hardworking, honest. He paid Adi's bride price without blinking. He gave Ugachukwu 10 goats, 8 tubers of yam, and more palm wine than the village could drink in a month. From the day Adiz moved into his compound, Tobe's life changed. A trader from the city came and offered to buy his entire yam harvest at 3 times the price. His sick mother recovered overnight. A small piece of land he had been fighting over for 2 years suddenly fell into his hands without a single argument. He was laughing. He was dancing. He told everyone, "My wife is a gift from Chukwu himself." On the 7th day after their wedding, Tobe went to sleep beside Adiz as usual. He was smiling when he closed his eyes. By morning he was cold, the compound filled with crying. Adiz sat in the corner of the room. She was not crying. She was not calm either. She was shaking, like a leaf caught in wind. Her eyes were wide and full of terror. "I do not understand," she kept saying. "I do not understand." The village healer came. He checked Tobe's body. No poison. No wound. No disease. He died like a candle that ran out of wax, the healer said slowly. He looked at Adiz with careful eyes. He said nothing more. But the village remembered. Grief is heavy, but envy is heavier. Adiz's neighbor was a woman named Mbik. Mbik had 3 daughters of her own, all of them older than Adiz. None of them had been married yet. Every suitor that came to Onawa walked past Mbik's compound and straight to Adiz's door. Mbik smiled to her face. But behind closed doors, her mouth was a river of poison. "She's a witch," Mbik told the other women at the market. "She killed Tobe. I saw her eyes that morning, dry as the harmattan. A real wife would have cried. She did not cry. That tells you everything." The whispers spread like smoke. They floated into every house in Onawa. Some people shook their heads and said it was nonsense. But some people, the ones with small hearts and idle hands, they held the whispers tight. And yet a second man came. His name was Dyke. He was from a village 2 hills away. Dyke had heard about Tobe's death. He had also heard about Tobe's sudden harvest, his recovered mother, his recovered land. 6 days of wealth is better than a lifetime of nothing, Dyke said. He laughed when he said it. He thought he was joking. He married Adiz. In 6 days, he became the most talked about man in 3 villages. A relative overseas sent a letter with money attached. His father's stolen farmland was returned. A sickness in his chest that he had been hiding for a year vanished. On the 7th day, Dyke did not wake up. Now the village was not whispering. Now the village was shouting. They came to her father's compound on a Tuesday. A crowd, maybe 40 people, maybe more. Mbik was in the front, her wrapper tied high and tight like she was ready for war. "Send her out," Mbik called. "Adiz, the husband killer. Send her out." Ugachukwu stood at his door. He was old now. His knees hurt, his back curved like a bent tree. But he stood straight that day. "My daughter has done nothing," he said. His voice was steady. "The gods take who they will take." Adiz did not touch those men. 2 men, Ugachukwu, someone from the crowd yelled. 2 young men, dead in their beds. Both married to your daughter. Both dead on the 7th day. How do you explain that? How? Ugachukwu had no answer. He opened his mouth and closed it again. Because the truth was, he had been awake every night asking himself the same question. Inside the house, Adiz heard everything. She was sitting on the floor of her room. Her knees were pulled to her chest. She had not eaten in 2 days. She kept seeing Tobe's face when he smiled the night before he died. She kept seeing Dyke's hand, cold in the morning light. "Am I cursed?" she whispered to the empty room. "What am I?" Nobody answered. But the dream she had that night, the dream answered everything. In the dream, Adiz was standing in a river, not the small stream by the village. A great river, wide and dark and ancient. The kind of river that had no beginning and no end. An old man stood across from her. He was not frightening. He was just old. Deeply, deeply old. His face looked like tree bark. His eyes looked like still water. "Do you know me?" the old man asked. Adiz shook her head. "You should," he said. "I am your grandfather's grandfather. And I am the reason you are what you are." He sat down in the water. It did not wet his clothes. "A long time ago," he said, "I made a promise to the Agwu. A promise I did not keep. I asked for wealth, for power, for my family to never suffer. And the Agua gave it. For 1 generation, our family rose. We had land, cattle, everything. But when it was time to give back what was promised, I ran. I told myself the Agua would forget. The Agua never forgets. Adi's heart was pounding. What was promised? She asked. Her voice was very small. The old man looked at her with heavy eyes. The 7th gift, he said. The 7th child of the 7th child. Born at midnight, between days. You were supposed to be given to the Agua, not to keep, just to serve, to carry his power for the village, not for any one man. But your grandfather refused. He hid you in an ordinary life. And so the Agua put a seal on you. The blessing you carry is real, but it is too big for one man to hold. Every man who takes it all for himself, every man who tries to own what belongs to everyone, will be consumed by it. On the 7th day, when the gift has filled every crack in him and there is no more room, it takes him. Adiz stood there in the dream river, shaking. So I am a curse, she said. No, the old man said. His voice was gentle, like her father's voice. You are a gift that has been misused. There is a difference. She woke up before dawn. The room was cold. Her cheeks were wet, but her eyes, for the first time in weeks, were clear. She went to find old Mama Obiageli before the sun was fully up. Mama Obiageli was the oldest person in Onawa. Nobody knew exactly how old she was. When children asked her, she would laugh and say, I was here before that mango tree, and that tree is older than your grandfather's grandfather. She lived alone at the far edge of the village, where the bush began. She spoke to the air, sometimes. People said she was mad, but the things she said always came true. Adiz found her sitting outside in the gray morning light, cracking palm kernels with a stone. Mama Obiageli did not look up when Adiz approached. I have been waiting for you, the old woman said. You took long. Adiz sat down in the dirt next to her. She did not even try to act like a grown woman. She put her face in her hands and cried like a child. Mama Obiageli let her cry. She kept cracking palm kernels. She did not say hush. She did not say stop. She let the crying be what it needed to be. When Adiz was quiet, the old woman finally spoke. Your dream was real, she said. No surprise. No drama. Just fact. The Agua has marked you since before you left your mother's belly. What you carry was never meant for a husband's house. It was meant for the open road. Then what am I supposed to do? Adiz asked. Never marry? Never have children? Mama Obiageli looked at her for the first time. Her eyes were so old they looked like 2 small rivers at the end of a long dry season. You are asking the wrong question, the old woman said. You are asking what you cannot have. Ask instead what you are here to give. Adiz opened her mouth, then closed it. She thought about her uncle Ekin's farm, the yams, the full barn. She thought about Tobe's sick mother, standing up from her mat, whole again. She thought about every good thing that had happened, not to Tobe, not to Dyke, but around them, through them, to everyone near them. The gift was never only for the husband, Adiz said slowly. It was for everyone around him. And when he took it all, kept it all, it had nowhere to go. Mama Obiageli smiled. Her teeth were still strong, white as fresh palm. Something in that smile held no pity, only recognition. Now, the old woman said, you are asking the right question. And then a third man came. His name was Emeka. He came on foot, alone, no family behind him, no fanfare. He was not the richest man. He was not the most handsome. He was a schoolteacher from the next village. Quiet, thoughtful, worn sandals. The whole village watched him walk toward Ugachukwa's compound and laughed. Does he not know? People said. Does he not know what happened to the others? He is walking to his own grave. Beek stood outside her door with her arms folded. Another fool, she said. And she smiled, because she was the kind of woman who enjoyed being right about dark things. Emeka sat down with Ugachukwu. He did not bring 10 goats or mountains of yam. He brought 1 small kola nut and a jar of honey. And he said something that nobody had ever said before. I am not here to take your daughter's blessing, he said. I am here to help her carry it. Yugachukwu stared at him for a long time. Then he called Adiz. Adiz came out slowly. She looked at Emeka. He looked back at her without flinching, without greed, without the hungry look that all the others had, that look that said, "Give me,
Give me.
give me." He just looked at her like she was a person. Not a miracle, not a market, just a person. Something broke open gently in Adiz's chest. What do you want from me? She asked him. Her voice was careful, guarded. I want to know your grandmother's name, he said. I want to know what makes you laugh. I want to eat breakfast with you for 30 years and argue about how much pepper belongs in soup. Adiz said nothing, but a small, involuntary smile crossed her face. And it was the first time she had smiled in a very long time. Mama Obiageli told Adiz what to do before the wedding. She said, your gift cannot be contained in a house. It must flow out, like a river that makes the whole valley green, not one garden. She said, on your wedding day, walk through the village first. Touch the ground at every gate. Let the blessing pour into the soil, not just one compound. She said, if the man beside you is truly not there for the gift, he will still be alive on the 8th day. Adiz listened. She told Emeka everything. The dream, the grandfather,
The debt.
the seal. She told him about Tobe,
About Dyke.
She told him all of it and waited for him to run. Emeka sat quietly through all of it. When she finished, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, do you want me to run?
No, she said.
Good, he said, because I am a very bad runner. The wedding morning came. The sky was golden and wide. Adiz put on a wrapper the color of deep river water, blue and green woven together. She had gold bangles on her wrists and a red flower tucked into her braids. She looked like something the morning had been saving up to show the world. But before she walked to the ceremony, she walked through the village.
Alone.
On bare feet. She stopped at every gate. She pressed both palms to the ground. She whispered something at each one. A prayer.
A release.
A river let loose. The people watched from their doorways. They did not understand what she was doing, but they felt it. Something warm moved through the ground under their feet, like a heartbeat, slow and steady. Even Beek felt it. She was standing at her door with her arms folded, ready to watch, ready to judge. But when Adiz pressed her palms to the ground outside Beek's gate, the old woman felt her knees stop hurting for the first time in 10 years. Beek stood there with her mouth open and one hand pressed to her knee, blinking. She did not unfold her arms. She was too proud for that. But she was quiet. The wedding was the biggest Onawa had ever seen. Not because anyone brought wealth or cattle, but because something was different in the air. Something had been let go. The first day passed. The second. The third. Good things happened, but everywhere. A woman who had been barren for 6 years found out she was pregnant. A man whose debt had swallowed him whole received an unexpected visitor who forgave every coin. 3 children who had been sick with fever woke up cool and hungry. The gift was flowing. But it was flowing like a river now, not like water trapped in a jar. The 6th day came. Emeka held Adiz's hand that evening as they watched the sun go down. Are you scared? She asked him. He thought about it honestly. A little, he said. Are you? Very, she said. He squeezed her hand. Then we will be scared together, he said. Adiz had not been able to say that with anyone before. The weight of the gift had always sat on her alone. Just the idea that someone was willing to be scared beside her. It was more than the gold, more than the harvests, more than any of it. On the 7th morning, Emeka woke up. He opened his eyes slowly, looked at the ceiling, looked at Adiz. She was sitting up watching him, not breathing, both hands pressed over her heart. When he opened his eyes, she made a sound like a person who had been holding their breath for 7 days. She put her face in his chest and shook. He wrapped his arms around her. Still here, he said quietly. Still here. Word spread before noon. Emeka had survived the 7th day. The village gathered without being called. They stood outside the compound, buzzing like a hive. Some were shamed. Some were just stunned. Some, the honest ones, wept quietly, thinking about how they had treated Adiz, the names they had called her, the doors they had shut. Beek stood in the back of the crowd. She did not say anything. For the first time, her mouth was closed. Her knees still did not hurt. She knew why. She would not say it out loud. She was too proud for that. But she knew. Ugachukwu walked out of the compound. His back was bent. His knees still hurt. But his face was high. My daughter, he said to the crowd, was never a curse. She was a gift you were too greedy to receive properly. And any one of you who called her a witch owes her, and her mother's spirit, an apology. Nobody argued. In the months that followed, Onawa changed. The village began to prosper in a way that was quiet but real. A new borehole was dug, and clean water came up sweet and cold. The school where Emeka taught was expanded. 3 new families who had left the village years ago returned. They said they felt something calling them back. Something warm in the soil. Adiz became the one people came to when things were broken. Not because she was magic, though she was, but because she listened. Because she understood suffering. Because she had been through the fire and come out without bitterness. She and Emeka had 3 children. The first 2 came easy. The third, a boy, was born at midnight, right in the crack of time. Adiz held him and looked at his eyes. Those old eyes, older than a baby's eyes should look, as if he had been somewhere before and still remembered the way. She kissed his forehead. You are not a curse, she whispered to him. You are a gift, and I will teach you the difference. The people of Onawa tell this story to this day. They tell it when a child is born with strange gifts. They tell it when envy is about to make a fool of a person. They tell it when someone mistakes a river for a well. Because that is what Adiz's story teaches us. A gift was never meant to be hoarded. The moment you close your hands around a blessing and say, "This is mine alone," you begin to choke it. And when a blessing is choked long enough, it becomes a weight that crushes the one holding it. Tobe and Dyke did not die because Adiz was evil. They died because they reached for all of the river and tried to pour it into one cup. The cup cannot hold the river. It was never meant to. But Emeka, quiet, worn sandal, one kolanut Emeka, he did not come for the gift. He came for the person. And because he came for the person, the gift poured through him and out into the world, the way a gift is supposed to move. The Igbo say, Ani wetera aji, wetera ndu. The one who brings kola brings life. Not because of the kola, but because of the heart that carries it. And this is the truth the story leaves you with. The greatest things in this world, love, purpose, destiny, grace, they cannot be owned. They can only be carried,
Shared. Passed on.
The moment you try to own them, you lose them. The moment you open your hands and let them flow, they fill everything. Thank you so much for watching. This is an original story from Voice of African Stories. If this story touched you, please share it.
Subscribe.
And leave me a comment. Tell me, which part of the world are you watching from? I read every single one. See you in the next story.
Bye.